I mentioned in the introduction to the book that this book is called Earnest because, first of all, B.T. Roberts had a magazine called The Earnest Christian.
He was a man of action. He was a man of deep knowledge, but he was able to translate that knowledge into action in very courageous ways and, for us, inspiring ways.
He integrates this passion for vibrant living faith, but it's never for the sake of faith alone.
He wrote editorials, he wrote books, he was the editor of the Earnest Christian and then the Free Methodist later on, and so he was always dealing with argument.
He understood that Christian transformation in terms of holiness must result in social change.
He was all about looking at fairness, at social justice, at women and their place, at slaves and what we had done to them, at theology and how we misinterpreted things.
Even mutuality in marriage, or whether it's reaching out to the marginalized, it's this integration of faith and real life.
He was, I think, in many ways, though a product of his time, ahead of his time.
We wanted a project that would introduce people to the heritage of the school and that would advance Christian scholarship in the tradition of B.T. Roberts. So we decided we would put out a call for papers to our faculty members and ask them to write a paper either about B.T. Roberts or ways in which his teachings or his life have influenced our current scholarship. What I really came to admire about B.T. Roberts is that he was a man of incredible integrity. He was a visionary, but he was also patient. He was a prophet of dissent. But secondly, if I had one word to describe B.T. Roberts, it would be earnest.
Anyone who reads this will recognize how relevant B.T. is today.
And I found a quote that really sparked my interest because it seems so pertinent to today. The quote mentions that we should bring up youth in piety, virtue, industry, and economy while they are acquiring a sound education. And to see if that is still true and what we can learn from him looking back through our current discipline lenses.
For those who read it, I think that it can inspire. It won't simply be a dead, dusty history kind of textbook. Even though there will be lots of history there, it'll be something that should inspire people for how they engage the world around them.
As a faculty member, I try to keep the values and insights of B.T. Roberts alive by translating my knowledge into action, because I think that's what he did so well. I try to help students understand that it's not enough to take a test and to get a grade, but they have to learn how to translate their knowledge into action that's going to help their neighbor.
His writing was so foundational that he might say, well, of course, if you are doing Christian nursing education, these are still important concepts. And if you're doing it well, of course you're teaching these concepts. These are just so foundational.
I keep the insights of B.T. Roberts alive in the classroom today by thinking about the ways in which Free Methodism as a movement and Wesleyan theology more broadly engages the head and the heart of who we are as Christians, and I try to instill those values in students as well.
Keeping B.T. Roberts alive for students in classes or in everyday conversation is not a challenge. Anyone who reads this will at least recognize how relevant B.T. is today.
Because Rochester has been certainly in the 19th century and into the 20th century was a place of social transformation in a good way. And so I think that Roberts Wesleyan College, situated in Rochester, keeps alive that tradition that we see from the 19th century of important social change.